Hello guys, I welcome you all to my YouTube channel HopeRBI. So yesterday was your Sebi Grade A 2022 examination phase 1 and I also took this exam, and I'm here to talk about kind of like a self-analysis of what was going on in the examination and how it was different from the last year's phase 1 paper, and what kind of things you are required to keep in your mind while preparing for the phase 2 now. So I'm not talking about any answer keys here. Many coaching institutes are providing answer keys to the question paper, so you can definitely check out any of the video on YouTube. What I'm going to talk about here is the kind of like analysis, which portions were more, which portions were less, and what kind of questions were there. I'm going to talk about that. So let's begin. First of all, to all the aspirants who have a teeny tiny hope that they will be able to clear the cutoff, obviously, which was predefined, 30 marks out of 100 in paper 1, 40 marks out of 100 in paper 2, and in totality 80 marks out of 200. So if you think that you are able to clear both the individual cutoffs and the overall cutoff, don't wait for the result date, because you know that the examination, the phase 2, is going to be held on 20th of March. So you hardly have a month, and you know that the level of the phase 1 was a little harder than the previous one. It was constituting most conceptual questions that you can ever see regarding this particular examination, regarding this regarding the syllabus which is mentioned in the examination. So you have to be very careful about what you read now, and don't waste time in waiting for the result. Obviously it will come either after a week or 10 days, whatever. Don't anticipate anything, just start preparing, because 20th March is very near. That is the most important thing that you need to remember. Secondly, now the level of paper. So phase 1, paper 1 and paper 2. I already told you guys that paper 1 is not very difficult. You only have to prepare paper 1 according to the mock tests which are available, and you don't need to put too much energy, because you only have to score 30 out of 100, and you can score most in this particular paper because the level is very easy. And same was in the paper 1 of this particular exam yesterday. The paper was very easy. We will talk about the GA section later, but let's talk about English. English was very easy. There was a passage, very simple passage, and there was some questions regarding the error detection. 2 questions were regarding the sentence rearrangements. One was regarding the parajumbles. So everything was in line. It was very predictable that these kind of questions are asked in any of the banking examination, especially clerical examination. So it was very easy. Talking about reasoning section, some of the easier puzzles were there. Some of the basic concepts. There was a puzzle in which n number of people were sitting. We didn't know how many people were there, and you had to arrange them. It was a very simple puzzle. Everything was very simple. Talking about mathematics, there were questions from quadratic equations. There were questions from basic arithmetics. It was very 2 DIs were there, but very simple DIs. One was caselet and one was tabular DI. These were very basic, very simple DIs. It was very predictable kind of paper. Talking about the general awareness section, had some questions from the union budget. It had some questions, some basic questions which you could obviously read from all the sources, but it had some unusual questions also. So what I did was, in general awareness, I also created a calculated guess in almost 5 to 6 questions, but I did because I had attempted good amount of questions, and there was no harm in doing some kind of guesses. But my guesses are not illogical. They are based on calculations. They are based on the logic behind the question that has been asked. So I did that, and I attempted almost 74 questions out of 80 in paper 1 in this particular phase. So that is about the paper 1. Okay, let's talk about the paper 2. Paper 2, some people are saying that it was very difficult, but you guys should remember that you also have to qualify the phase 2, and for phase 2 preparation you need to have a conceptual knowledge. In every video you can check out, I have the testimonial right here on my channel. In any video which I have made for Sebi Grade A examination, I have told you that concepts are the basic thing that you need to cover, and if you have covered the basic concepts, every question will be very easy for you to solve. Okay, so the paper that we encountered yesterday was heavily conceptual. It was heavily conceptual. There was, I guess we cannot call it a numerical. There was only one thing regarding the demand and supply. there was one numerical in which we had to calculate the demand and supply, the quantity as well, and it was a basic formula based, and everything was given in the question. That wasn't kind of numerical, if you want to say, that was asked in this paper, but everything else was conceptual. Everything else was conceptual. Talking about the heavy portions of the paper yesterday, so management held a greater chunk of the question paper yesterday. Management had the most of the questions were from the leadership. Okay, leadership held about 3 to 4 questions, very heavy, and some questions were from communication. Some questions were from if I'm not actually able to recall it, but management held a very big chunk of your question paper yesterday. Then came your the second portion, which was very important, and very conceptual questions were from here. That was costing. It was very good paper according to the costing section. As you guys know, I had not prepared for this examination this year. I'm not preparing for this examination still. I'm preparing for the RBI Grade B examination. So in costing portion also, what I had remembered from previously what I've read, I attempted a few questions, but costing held a lot of good questions here. There was a question regarding the imputed cost. There was question regarding the I'm not actually quite able to recall right now, but costing held a good chunk. It was a very conceptual paper regarding costing. There were no numericals asked according to costing, but everything conceptual was given there. The next portion that had a heavy amount in the paper was finance. This really helped me a lot because finance section I have been preparing for RBI, so it was kind of like a known territory to me to attempt in the examination. There were questions from the regulatory bodies like PFRDA or whatever, all of these regulatory bodies, Sebi, RBI, and there were questions from there were some basic questions from finance. There were not too much going on in the finance section, and it also held some of the good chunks of questions. Commerce and accountancy was very less. I guess there were 1 to 2 questions from commerce and accountancy. It did not hold a very good chunk, and economics was also very less. Economics was also not too much asked. It was also very basic questions were asked from economics, and they were also very less in quantity. And the most important section, companies law. This was very important for your examination, and it held more questions. Most of the questions were from the companies law as well. So all of the questions were very basic. There were no section numbers specially asked from you, only the basic concepts that what should be the qualification of a judge that is to be appointed in NCLAT or NCLT. Those kinds of questions were asked in the companies law phase 1. So what we can deduce from paper 1 paper 2 of phase 1 is that conceptual clarity is very essential, and because the concepts were mostly asked in the phase 1, we can freely say that phase 2 will be constituting more numerical problems. And don't worry about the numericals, because since the calculator is not allowed, or even if it will be allowed, the calculator will be given to you on the screen. But the concepts that you need to study should be well clear, so that you would be able to handle some of the complicated numericals as well. And talking about concepts also, obviously concepts will also be asked in the phase 2 of this particular paper, and they will also be tricky. For example, consider the accounting section, and there will be a situation given to you that this person has purchased let's say 100 shirts, and the total amount for that 100 shirts is rupees 60,000, and the person is going to sell these shirts in the next financial year at a certain price. So according to the concepts of accounting or the principles of accounting, they will ask you that when should we register, or when should we keep the entry in the books of accounts after the financial year or before the financial year. All of these conceptual questions could be asked, that could be given to you according to a particular case study or a particular scenario. Many of the questions can be framed, so don't worry about it. Just understand the concepts, just re-revise the concepts very carefully, and practice the numericals from the sources which I have discussed with you, the chapters which I have discussed with you, and you will be good to go. And the most important thing that you need to focus more upon, and I also got to know about this particular source, I had not checked it out when I was preparing for this exam last year, is the Icai website. Okay, they have a lot of materials to cover these particular things, and everything mentioned in the syllabus of cost accounting and financial accounting, or basically commerce and accountancy. I'm sorry, let me raise this. The commerce and accountancy and the cost accounting. All of the things mentioned in the syllabus are given in the ICAI website. So all you need to do is go to the website or even go to the Google and search for the material. Let me show you how to do that. Just a second. Yes. So if you open up your browser, you have to just type ICAI cost accounting. Okay, and after that, the very first section, that is the cost and management accounting, you have to open it, and after it opens, it gives you every chapter: introduction to cost and management accounting, material cost, employee cost, overheads, absorption costing method, activity based costing, cost sheet, cost accounting system. Everything is mentioned in your syllabus. You have to do it in order to understand the concepts, and every numerical that is given in these particular sections, you have to solve it. Be it your unit or batch costing or job costing or contract costing, everything, your standard costing and marginal costing, these are very important chapters from which the numericals can be asked. You just open these. For example, let me open this, and the PDF regarding this particular chapter will be right there in your browser. Let me load this. Yes, this material cost. Everything is given in such a basic language and very easy to understand. I have just read 2 or 3 materials after I got to know about it, and it was very simple for me to understand. It will be very beneficial for you to check out and also to clear your concepts and also to practice the numericals from. And similarly, for your uh, simple accounting, you can definitely search for ICAI accounting. Simply just accounting. So principles and practice of accounting, this is the first link that you need to open, and after opening this, the study material, here you have to click, and applicable for 2022 latest study material, everything will be here: meaning and scope of accounting, accounting policies, accounting standards, Indian accounting standards, ledgers, trial balances, cash books, rectification of errors. Everything is given in your syllabus and everything is needed to be covered. Then after that, final accounts for the non-manufacturing entities. Then there are some partnership accounts. If this is not in your syllabus, you don't need to do this. Then company accounts, very important: issue, forfeiture and reissue of shares, issue of debentures. So all of these things can be covered very easily. And if you think that some of the things are not here, for example, accountancy standards for foreign exchange transactions or whatever things which are not given in your syllabus, you can do it from the things that I've already told you, either NEPTEL lectures or wherever you are studying it from. So these are the basic things that you need to cover. For example, let me open this unit, accounting standards. Similarly, a book will open and you will be able to cover everything according to the syllabus. Everything is given, very basic idea of everything. Each and everything is covered in these particular books, so you can definitely check these out. Don't waste time. You have to put a lot more efforts. Try to cover the basic numericals and then move on to some of the harder numericals, but don't divulge into extremely harder numericals, because that would not be asked in the examination. Because in phase 2, the paper 2, which is constitutive of all of the subjects, all of the 6 subjects, it is also of 40 minutes, and you will encounter the 50 questions again of 2 marks. So there is not much time for you to calculate the big calculations in these examinations. That is why they are not going to ask you extremely hard numericals. They are only going to ask you some of the basic numericals. And even in the concepts, they will be asking you the questions which are based on some of the case studies, or which are based on some of the application kind of questions. So you can definitely have to make that aptitude while preparing for this particular exam for phase 2. Talking about Companies Act. Now, this is the cramming portion. In Companies Act, you have to, for phase 2, you also have to cram the section numbers and even the subsection numbers, section 4A, section 4B, kind of like that. Everything you need to cram in the for this particular phase 2, because many of the questions will be according to these section numbers as well, because these questions they will put in order to disintegrate between the person who is going to top or person who is going to qualify with certain margin or not, or whatever. These kind of questions are put for those aspirants, so you have to cram it. If you think that you are not able to cram directly from the from the material you are studying it from, you can definitely make shorter notes. Just take an A4 size paper and start writing down a brief summary. Section 4A is regarding this, section 4B regarding this, then section 5, section 5A, 5B, all of these things you have to cram, and you have to make short notes to effectively cram this. So this is what you need to know about, and every provision is very important for you guys. If I distinctly remember, there was a question regarding the qualification of High Court judge in the examination of phase 1. So that kind of questions could also be asked in the phase 2, but in a different manner, in a more stretched manner. So try to understand the concepts and try to understand the question very, very carefully. It will be very beneficial for you for the phase 2 examination. And if we talk about the descriptive section, I have already talked about it, but now you have to practice it, because you are not only dedicating your studies towards covering these 6 subjects, you also need to focus on the descriptive, because I lost this paper last year because of the descriptive section. I scored only 40 out of 100, and because of that I was not able to clear the overall cutoff, and that was why my final selection was not there. So you have to cover the descriptive very, very carefully. Don't don't take it for granted, don't take it extremely lightly. So practice essays. Okay, write one essay daily. You can either write the essay from the editorial section that you're reading from the newspaper, and even if you're not reading the newspaper, you can definitely Google for any topics for Sebi grade A examination, be it a financial topic, be it a static topic, be it some dynamic topic according to current affairs, anything you can choose, and you have to write it according to that particular thing. And last year the essay was about 200 to 250 words, so you can definitely practice to write an essay in this particular word limit. Obviously we don't know what kind of word limit would be set for the phase 2 this year. We have to wait for the information handout for that, but until then, since we know that in the past year, in the last year, the word limit was 200 to 250, you have to practice your essay according to this particular word limit. And after that, if the strategy changes, if Sebi decides to change the word limit from 200 to, let's say, 400 or 450 words, you can definitely move on to that. Talking about the Pressy. Pressy is a very important section which actually determines what kind of a understanding power you have. You have to understand a concept, you have to understand a paragraph to make a summary out of it, and that summary should also be roughly 1/3 of the paragraph. Okay, that does not mean that you choose 3 lines and you just merge it into one and you just write about that. This is not the perfect strategy to talk about Pressy. To write Pressy, you have to write Pressy in your own words. Okay, so you don't need to just merge 3 lines and write it into one. No, you don't need to do that. What you need to do is read the whole passage very, very carefully and jot down points in the rough sheet that you have taken. Okay, some of the basic points that, yes, according to this, this is happening, this is what required, and I will be concluding with this. And all of the things should be relevant according to the passage given and not from your own knowledge. You only have to write everything which is given in the passage. Even if you think that you know something else about that particular passage, a particular topic that is given in the passage, you don't need to write anything about it which you know already. You only have to write it. You only have to write the things which are given in the passage. Even if they are wrong conceptually or morally, you don't need to think about that. Talking about comprehension passage, it is also similar. In comprehension passage, about 5 questions are given, and you have to attempt all of those 5 questions, but you have to answer them in your own language. You don't need to just search for over to the passage, and if you find out that this line is relevant to the question, you just copy and paste that particular line. No, you have to make that line in your own language, and you have to write it down in your own particular language. So that is why it is very important for you to cover phase 2 comprehensively, your descriptive portion as well and your objective portion as well. And in objective portion, focus more and more on the numerical portion as well, and your conceptual knowledge for the application based questions that could be asked. You can refer to any of the videos on YouTube which are taking sessions for phase 2. For phase 2 of this paper, EduTap has some good lectures. EduTap has some good lectures for phase 2. It had some good lectures in 2020 examination as well. So you can check out those videos also. It would be very beneficial for you. Check out the previous year videos and check out the latest video if they are going to launch any kind of free videos on YouTube, so you can definitely watch those as well. These videos really helped me out as well when I was taking the examination in 2020. So you have to be very careful about the phase 2 now, because phase 1 has been taken up a notch, but it is not out of the box. Some people are saying that it was very unexpected, and it was really not, we were not able to solve the questions. Last year paper was very easy, but they have to keep that in mind, that they also need to take this examination for phase 2 as well. So in phase 2, all of these things which are asked in phase 1 are very important as well. These are some basic concepts. Everything was conceptual. Everything was according to the syllabus as well. There was not one question that was asked out of the syllabus in paper 2. So you don't need to think about all of those things. What you need to do is clear your concepts very, very carefully and practice the numerical problems, practice the numerical questions that are according to the concepts given in the material that you are referring to. So also do check out the ICI material. I am telling you guys, these are very important, very precise, and very easy to understand. And the numerical problems could also be relevant from the examination. Okay, and there was some comment under the video that if any questions were asked from the sources which I have told you guys, see, everything was conceptual and every concept was shown. Everything was every concept was very beautifully explained from all the sources which I have referred you guys. So if you have read those sources, if you have seen those sources, you definitely would have covered these questions. Definitely, no doubt about it. Because obviously the lectures from NPTEL, they are from very known professors from IITs, from IIMs, and they are teaching the concepts very, very easily and very, very in an interactive manner kind of. So every concept was given in these lectures, and you would have been able to solve the questions if you have seen the lectures or if you have seen the sources which I have referred to you. So don't worry about anything. Don't wait for the result date. I'm again telling you guys, and please start preparing for the phase 2 vigorously, because the level could be difficult, could be on the higher side. So you have to prepare for the worst case scenario. 1 month is very good amount of time if you use it very wisely. Otherwise 1 month is very insufficient for you guys. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any doubts regarding anything discussed here, you can definitely comment it down below, and I'll be happy to answer every query of yours. And share this video with every aspirant who has taken this examination and who is preparing for the phase 2, so that they would be able to get the gist of how to approach for the phase 2. So thank you so much for watching this video. Have a great day.